You think you know Saudi Aramco, right? The oil Goliath, the financial titan. Well, what if I told you that's just the cover story? Today, we're cracking open the case file on one of the most powerful and, let's be honest, secretive companies on the planet, and we're going to expose a transformation that's happening right under our noses. So let's get right to the heart of it, the core question of this whole investigation. What if the company that fuels pretty much our entire world with oil is secretly, quietly, building a completely different empire from the inside out? It's time to peel back the layers and see what's really going on. Every good investigation starts with what we know, or what we think we know. So first, let's establish the baseline. Let's look at the Aramco that everyone sees on the surface. This is the foundation of their power. And the numbers? Well, they're just staggering. All right, Exhibit A. This number right here, $106.2 billion. Now, that's not their revenue. That was Aramco's net income for 2024. That is pure profit. It's a figure that's so large, it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. And it's the engine that's funding everything else we're about to uncover. So where does that ocean of cash actually come from? Well, it flows from these legendary assets. These are the crown jewels of the Saudi kingdom. You're looking at the Ghawar field, the single largest conventional oil field on the entire planet, and Safania, the biggest offshore field in the world. I mean, these aren't just big, they are geological freaks of nature that have basically defined the global energy market for decades. Okay, now here's where the official story starts to get really interesting. If you think Aramco is just about pumping crude oil out of the sand, you're missing the first major clue in their secret transformation. They are orchestrating a massive, massive pivot. And to really get this pivot, you gotta understand two key industry terms. Upstream is just getting the oil out of the ground. That's what Aramco is famous for. But the real money, and honestly the future, is in downstream. That's turning the raw crude into way more valuable stuff, especially chemicals. And that is exactly where Aramco is placing its biggest bets. And this number is at the absolute heart of their new strategy. 4 million. That's how many barrels of oil they plan to turn directly into high-value chemicals. And that's not per year, it's not per month. We're talking every single day by 2030. You see, this isn't some little side project. This is a complete overhaul of their entire business model. So why? What's the motive here? Well, it's a genius defensive play, really. By turning oil into things like plastics and fertilizers and all sorts of other materials, they squeeze way more profit out of every single barrel. But even more importantly, it's an insurance policy. It basically future-proofs them against the wild swings of the oil market. It secures their income no matter what happens to gas prices. Having a chemical strategy is one thing, but where you execute that strategy, well, that's everything. And this brings us to the next layer of our investigation. Aramco isn't just building this new empire at home. No, they're making a multi-billion-dollar bet on the other side of the world. Now, listen to this quote. This is not just typical corporate speak. When the president of Aramco Asia says their commitment is for 50 years and beyond, he's signaling something huge. This isn't just about selling oil to a customer. This is about deep strategic integration into the very heart of the world's largest manufacturing economy. And believe me, they are putting their money where their mouth is. 240 billion yuan. That's the total value of the projects Aramco is pouring into China right now. This isn't just dipping a toe in the water, it's a full-on dive. They are locking in demand and embedding themselves into the Chinese industrial machine for generations to come. And this timeline right here, it shows you the playbook. You can see how they're pulling it off. It's not one big bet, it's a methodical pattern of moves. See, in 2023, they grab a stake in Rongsheng. Then by 2025, they're cutting the ribbon on a massive complex. And it keeps going, with more deals already in the pipeline. They are systematically weaving themselves into the very fabric of Chinese industry. Okay, so we've peeled back the chemicals layer, and we've peeled back the China layer, but underneath all of that lies maybe the most secretive and potentially the most transformative shift of all. Because Aramco isn't just becoming a chemicals company, it's becoming a tech company. Just look at this. This perfectly illustrates the quiet revolution happening inside their operations. Forget that old image of roughnecks striking it lucky in the desert. Today, Aramco is using AI to map underground reservoirs with unbelievable precision. They have algorithms that predict when a piece of equipment will fail before it happens. They are turning oil exploration from a game of chance into a pure science of data.
So how much data are we talking about here? Get ready for this. Aramco processes over 10 billion data points every single day. That makes them one of the most data-intensive industrial companies on the planet. And you have to understand, this data isn't just a byproduct. It is becoming one of their most valuable assets, a core competitive advantage.
And this is how they plan to dominate the AI space. They're taking a massive stake in Human, which is the Saudi state's very own AI powerhouse. They're not just buying AI software off the shelf. No, they are building the entire ecosystem from scratch, from the data centers all the way to their own advanced Arabic language models. The goal here isn't just to use AI, it's to pioneer it. And here's the confirmation, straight from the top. The CEO himself says this isn't some experiment. It's about cementing their leadership in industrial AI. They see a future where their expertise isn't just in geology, but in algorithms. A future where Aramco is just as much a tech giant as it is an oil giant.
So, we've uncovered the chemicals pivot, the China strategy, and the incredible AI transformation. But all of this brings us to the very center of the puzzle, to a fundamental paradox that truly defines Aramco's entire future. And here it is, the official story. Aramco, the world's biggest producer of oil, has publicly committed to achieving net zero emissions from its own operations by 2050. Now, on the surface, that sounds completely impossible, right? A total contradiction. But the evidence suggests they're taking this very, very seriously. As always, you have to follow the money. This chart shows their R&D spending. And look at this. A stunning 63% of their entire research and development budget in 2023 was dedicated to sustainability. That is not pocket change. That is a massive strategic allocation of resources aimed at solving their carbon problem. And these aren't just empty promises on a website. They have a concrete four-pronged attack plan. They're building massive renewable energy projects. They're developing a huge carbon capture facility. Think of it like a giant filter for industrial emissions. They're pioneering blue hydrogen, a low-carbon fuel. And they're even planting millions and millions of mangrove trees to act as natural carbon sponges. And yet, this brings us right back to the heart of the contradiction. Every single solar panel, every ton of captured carbon, every dollar invested in this green future is paid for by their core business, pulling more fossil fuels out of the ground than anyone else on Earth. So, the final clue in our investigation leads us to this one single profound question. Aramco is simultaneously the master of the old energy world and a major architect of the new one. Can it actually play both sides? Can the company that perfected the carbon economy also be the one that helps us all move beyond it? That, right there, is the billion-dollar puzzle at the heart of Saudi Aramco.